Hello again, guys, it's Goku here, back with another audio video on the channel. It's been some time since I've last posted my last video, so I'm creating this new what if. This is what if Goku was the next Omni King. So I hope you enjoy this. This is a movie, so yeah, let's get straight into the video. So we're gonna start this in the realm of Grand Zeno, or at Grand Zeno's palace. You know, Grand Zeno is in his full body form, where he doesn't have his gods, since the gods are extensions of his power. So Grand Zeno is in his full form. So currently what Grand Zeno wants to do, he wants to, to remove some energy, since, this energy is becoming a bit too much for him. So, he then asks the Grand Priest, to split his energy into two, which, the Grand Priest then asks, why is that? As, Grand Zeno then says, this Omni key is becoming a bit too much to contain. So, I have to, split it into two halves and send them out, so that I can reform normal key. Since, this was the key I was given by my grandfather when I became the Omni King. So, it's not properly getting, well with my key. So, the Grand Priest then agrees as he nods. So, he then takes, he then uses some of the Grand Priest's his own power to split Grand Zeno's key into two. So this key that he has split into two, he then asks the Grand Zeno what he's supposed to do with it. As Grand Zeno then says, shove it into the galaxies. Make sure that it finds a person who is pure of heart, he says. As this person may one day become my successor and face, the threat that is coming to the universe, Grand Zeno says. Which the Grand Priest then nods, understanding what Grand Zeno is saying, since, there are much more bigger threats, people who are more powerful than even the Grand Priest himself. So the Grand Priest, then puts a mantra on it for, only a person of pure heart can obtain this power. So the Grand Priest then chucks the ball of Omni Key into the universe, as this ball, starts to travel through space and time, as it's heading for none other than planet Vegeta, where a Saiyan has just been born. His name is Kakarot. Kakarot is the son of Bardock and Gine, and the young brother of Raditz. Bardock and Gine were extremely happy when Kakarot was born. They even scanned his power level, which his power level was over 9,000 by the beginning, which they were shocked about, since Priest Vegeta was around 7,000. So they were assured that Goku, was stronger, but because of they knew how King Vegeta was greedy, he would obviously banish Goku from the Saiyan race. So Bardock then decided to lie about Goku's power level, and he put a key, suppressor on Goku, making his power level only 2,000. Unknown to them, while Goku was sleeping in his sleeping pod, a ball of seemingly colorless key entered through the glass of the pod. Goku woke up and saw this ball, and immediately, lashed onto it, pulling it close. This ball immediately began to get, sucked into Goku. As Goku's skin went transparent for a second and switched back to normal, which no one noticed. So everything pretty much goes the same as in canon, as Frieza wants to destroy the planet. Bardock, still deciding, he sends Goku out to the, out of planet Vegeta, sending him out so that he has a better chance of surviving. And if he manages to survive, he will be able to meet his son again. So Bardock, still heads over, puts Goku in the pod, and launches him out of space, using the backside of the planet. He also then goes to face up against Frieza, where he actually manages to turn Super Saiyan. Frieza sensing this power, he quickly does, like his biggest, powerfulest attack, and, killing Bardock in the process, as well as all the Saiyans on planet Vegeta. So, as Goku, is traveling in his pod, the pod, gets sucked in due to the explosion which Frieza has caused. As the pod, gets sucked in, it gets taken away. So, Frieza actually took time and saw the pod, as he saw that there was a Saiyan in there. He then, asked, whose son was that from, one of his commanders, and said, we suspect that was the son of Bardock. So, Frieza, knowing this, decides to, that he's gonna start training, since, he knows that the son of Bardock may one day achieve such power and will come back for revenge and kill him. So with Goku's pod, suddenly emerges in a very sacred part of the, multiverse. A part, where only gods are called to and cannot go on their own. So as Goku's pod, is traveling there, it suddenly, like shorts out as it starts heading down. It smashes through the Grand Zena's palace's roof as it immediately heads for the throne room. As it's seemingly going to go and hit Grand Zeno, the gods stand in front of it and halt the pod, using some of their ki to stop the pod. So the Grand Zeno then senses something familiar from this pod, as the Grand Priest as well. Grand Zeno then says, "Grand Priest, open it," he says. As Grand Zeno then says, Grand Priest then says, "Right away, Grand Zeno." As the Grand Priest opens the pod. In the pod, there is a Saiyan child, Goku, or Kakarot. So now Grand Zenos, the Grand Priest then picks up, Kakarot, as he then says, "My lord, it's a Saiyan." As Grand Zeno then, floats over to where Goku is. As he then touches him. He immediately, senses the key, the Omni key in him. As he then looks at the Grand Priest and says, "Grand Priest, it's him." As the Grand Priest, already analyzing what Grand Zeno said, he then nods. "So what are we to do with them?" The Grand Priest asks. So, Grand Zeno then says, seeing as he has, this power, it would be dangerous if we, were to just leave him alone and let him control it on his own. We shall have to keep him here and train him. Train him so that he can become strong and protect this multiverse from the threats which are to come. Which, the Grand Priest then nods. So, the Grand Priest, seemingly starts to raise Goku. As Goku does not bump his head this time, so he keeps his primal Saiyan instincts. So, at first, it was a bit hard, for things to go since Goku's primal instinct was caught in the way. But the Grand Priest, eventually thought of an idea and, he suppressed the primal instinct of the Saiyan and will only release it when it's necessary. So, Goku begins, to grow. As Goku reaches about 8 years old. Goku seemingly asked, the Grand Priest, to train him, since, he saw the Grand Zenos gods, fighting, and, he wants to be as strong as them. So, the Grand Priest then asks Goku why he wants to fight, and, then Goku then says, because he wants to protect, everyone. The Grand Priest, is a bit taken aback by this, but, he didn't understand where Goku is coming from. Since Goku, is the one of pure of heart, he agrees to it. So Goku, starts to get trained on Earth. On Earth, things, pretty much go the same, but without Goku this time. We just say the Saiyans, they come earlier to Earth, being Raditz, Frieza, being Raditz, Vegeta, and Nappa, seemingly, looking for Goku since they wanted to get him so they can train each other and go and face off against Frieza. But when they arrive there, they don't find him. So, deciding that this was a good planet, they decide to settle on it. So, Vegeta still marries Bulma. Nappa marries Launch. Who is this? Raditz, he's the one who marries Chi-Chi. So, with all these years, the Saiyans on Earth became seemingly a bit pure of heart. They also had families of their own and things to protect. So, they still do all those tournaments and everything. Yeah, that's for Earth as of currently. So with Goku. Currently, Goku is sparring with Whis. Whis is the second strongest angel after Margarita, if I'm not wrong. Since I'm sure Margarita was the oldest and, almost as strong as the Grand Priest. So, as Whis and Goku, are sparring, Whis then says, Goku, seems you've gotten much stronger, he says. As Goku then says, you haven't seen anything yet, Whis. As, Goku continues fighting. As they're fighting, Grenzen is observing them, seemingly smiling. Grand Priest, it seems young Goku is getting strong. The Grenzen says, as the Grand Priest another says, yes, your Grace Grenzen, he is going strong. It seems, the Omni key has fully bonded with his body, but we have yet to see him use it. As Grenzen then says, maybe it's time we removed the restraints which are, holding back his power. As the Grand Priest then looks at Grenzen and says, are you sure, my lord? As the Grenzen then nods and says, yes, we should. Because, the stronger he is, the better it is for the multiverse, he says. So, the Grand Priest, then holds the fight and says, Goku, show me your hands. As Goku shows the Grand Priest his hands. As the Grand Priest, seemingly, does some hand seals. As he then says, unseal. I'm not sure that from Naruto, but I think those guys use some magic runes or some shit. I'm not sure what they use. So the Grand Priest, then said unseal. As seemingly, Goku felt something within him, that was being blocked off, start to course through his veins. So, after that happened, he then says, Goku, it's time we send you, into the room of spirit and time. In that room, you're gonna be training with me for now. As Goku then nods. So Goku and the Grand Priest, then go into the room of spirit and time, where they spend approximately, I said Goku was 9, approximately about 10 years in there, seemingly, which will make Goku 19. Since I made Goku a bit more younger in this, so Goku comes out of that chamber when he's 19, and seemingly Goku has become super strong. When he comes out of the chamber, he's pretty much like this. His muscles are so defined. Even the most female angels would blush at the sight of him, because he looks badass. And also, the purple sides, on his ears and cheeks, it's pretty much, Omni limiters on him, so that his power does not go out of control, since he has to keep it contained. So, after coming out of the chamber, the Grand Priest, then takes Goku to where Granzana is. As Granzana then says, "Oh, wow, Goku! you've grown super strong. As Goku, then nods and says, yes, Zenny. As Goku and Friends, still have, that bond they had, in canon. But I'm gonna say, it's like much stronger. It's like a big brother. It's a big and young brother, thing. With, Grandson being, like the big brother and Goku being the young one. So, the grandson then says, Goku, I have something I need you to do for me. As Goku then nods and says, what is it, Zeno? As Zeno then says, I want you to go take care of a certain man. He is causing lots of destruction to the universe. As Goku then nods and says, who is this person? As the Grand Beast, wears his stuff and shows, Frieza. He then says, his name is Frieza. He's a tyrant. He pretty much, conquers worlds and sells them off to the highest bidder. As Goku grits his teeth as he remembers some of the information he was told, by the Grand Beast, that it was Frieza who destroyed his planet. So Goku then decides to calm himself and said, am I to kill him? As the Grand Senna then was and says, do not leave a trace of him. He must not be resurrected. As Goku then nods. So Goku immediately sets out as is heading to the universe. Currently with Frieza. Frieza had heard, about the Saiyan's betrayal. As he was pretty angry about this. He then decided, he was gonna train much harder in order to become stronger. Currently, Frieza is heading to Earth to conquer it. Since he knows, that's where those Saiyans are. And he wants to finish them off before they become a threat to him and, his empire. So, he's heading straight for Earth. On Earth, pretty much, and say, 9 or 7 years of peace have been there. They have defeated Majin Buu, Babidi, evil Piccolo. They all did that. So, pretty much they're at their pinnacle. They have all achieved Super Saiyan 3, except for Nappa, who seemingly, without his hair, cannot go into Super Saiyan 3 for some reason. But he still has his tail. So yeah, Nappa is a bit, satiated until he gets hair, he cannot go into Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta has seemingly achieved Super Saiyan 4, since, he's of a royal bloodline and he's stronger than most. So I can say that Vegeta managed to tame his Ozaru, so that it could increase his power. While Raditz, on the other hand, he's, yet to tame his Ozaru, but, he's training very hard, to perfect, his base. Vegeta still has, a kid who he names Trunks. Nappa also has a kid, which I'm not gonna name since I don't have a name for him. Raditz also has, 2 children, surprisingly, which are Gotenks and Gohan. I'm just gonna say that, Chi-Chi named him in, like favor of Grandpa Gohan, since, King Ox and Grandpa Gohan are friends. So, they then receive, a message from Supreme Kai telling them, that Frieza is coming to Earth. So, they immediately get ready as, they head up to the lookout. At the lookout, you see, Dende and Piccolo, surprisingly. Since, Kami and Piccolo fused, they had, to get Dende to come and bring back the Dragon Balls. Since, Piccolo didn't want to create the Dragon Balls yet, because he knew that, if he did so, the wishes would become a bit more dangerous, so he had Dende do it. So they'd also, removed some wishes, as in the wish of immortality, was one of the wishes they'd removed. So yeah, we see Goku, flying through space, as he is set on one thing: kill Frieza. So before Goku arrives at Earth, he heads over to a planet called, or Frieza's planet, where he finds, Vegeta's brother Cooler. Without wasting time, Goku seemingly, erases him. Sorry about that, I have a bit of a cold. So Goku seemingly erases him, kill him cold. King, what's his name? Like Vegeta, not Vegeta's father, Frieza's father, seeing this, King cold. He then, dashes off to where Goku is, as he then goes into his platinum state as he begins to fight with Goku. Goku seeing this, since he still loves a good battle, he decides to indulge, King Cold as he fights with them. Goku seemingly, is in his base form. He isn't even powering up. As he starts to smack around King Cold, as he eventually kills him with a ki blast, which disintegrates his body. Goku then floats up into space as he charges one beam and says, "Bye bye," as the whole planet gets seemingly erased. Goku, after doing this, then heads off straight for Earth. On Earth, Frieza has finally arrived. This force of 100,000 Frieza Force members. As Frieza goes out, he's met with Vegeta. Nappa is seemingly met off with Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Gohan, who seemingly was forced into training because Raditz didn't want to say who doesn't train, so he seemingly forced his son into training and told him that if he doesn't train they're gonna have problems. So Gohan, not wanting to disappoint his father, trained to the absolute displeasure of Chi-Chi, but Chi-Chi couldn't do shit since Raditz is like a dominating type. So Piccolo, Tien, Master Roshi, the rest of the Z Warriors are there. Frieza, without wasting time, he then launches to where Vegeta is, wanting to go kill him first. But he's suddenly blocked by someone. Someone who's wearing Omni clothes. Not that Frieza knows about him, because I think Frieza's knowledge is only limited to the God of Destruction and the angels. As someone is suddenly holding on to Frieza's fist and says, "Frieza, you've been condemned, and it's time for me to remove your life from the universe. You've become a threat which cannot be let to live anymore." As Frieza seemingly charges towards this guy. This guy is pretty much looking strange. Raditz, who is saying this at first thought it was his father, but so, seeming to look like Kakarot. Vegeta, as well as Nappa seeing this, they recognize him. It does look like Kakarot, the one who they came and searched for on Earth, but could not find. So, Frieza, starts to throw hands at Goku, with Goku, on dodging like no man's business. He's doing, like that shit Broly did, when he was fighting Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan. He's seeming doing that stuff. As he's dodging all of Frieza's attacks. Frieza, seeing that he's at a disadvantage here, he immediately powers up to his full power golden form. Since, he's been training, so, I doubt that, he wouldn't be able to achieve it. So he achieved it. So, as he launches, to where Goku is, he then says, "I am going to kill you, you Saiyan monkey." Goku hearing him, calling him a Saiyan monkey, enrages Goku like no man's business, as Goku is like, "Now you've done it." So, Goku then prepares, a Kai wave in his hands, since I doubt he wouldn't be able to do it, since he pretty much has Omni Ki, and Hakai, I think it's a low version of Grand Zeno's, bye-bye item, which I don't have the name for. So, Goku then puts his hand in front of Frieza and says, "Your time in this universe is up." Hakai! As Frieza screams out loud as he's in pain. As his tail starts to disappear into flickers of purple light. He then screams, "I'll get my revenge, Saiyan!" as he seemingly dies. All the Frieza Force are surprised to see this as they then launch to where Goku is. As Goku, then charges a beam in his hands and says, "Omni, Omni blast," he says. As this blast, kills everyone, all the Frieza Force. Goku then turns back, to where the Saiyans, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Gohan, and he looks at them and says, "You all look weak. Get stronger, cause there are even more threats to come." As Goku then glances towards Raditz and says, "If you do not train hard enough, brother, you shall never be strong. I am going for now, and I hope when I come back, you shall be stronger," Goku says. As Goku starts to float up into the air. As he then disappears. Raditz was surprised as Goku recognized him, but he also has to take Goku's words, to heart since he heard that more threats are going to come. He then thinks of Chi-Chi, Gohan, Gotenks. He thinks of them, his family, and says, "I will, brother, I will become stronger, and I'll protect my family as well as this planet," Raditz says with determination in his eyes. We're now with Goku, as Goku seemingly went to Beerus's planet. As Goku arrives on Beerus's planet, he's met up with Whis. As he then says, "Oh, hello there, Whis." As Whis then says, "Oh, hello there, Goku. How are you doing?" And Goku then says, "I'm fine. I'm looking for Beerus," Goku says. As Whis then sighs and says, "He's still taking his nap." Which Goku then says, "Lazy destroyer. Must notify grandson of this," he says inwardly to himself. So, Goku then pulls out his staff as he then takes something out of it. There's something, as a capsule. As he then gives it to, Whis and says, "There is some pretty interesting foods I've found during my travels around, the multiverse. Is it some food from planet Earth, which I'm sure is very delicious for you, Whis?" So Whis, hearing this smiles and says, "Thank you, Goku." As Goku then says, "Whis, I also have a favor to ask of you." As Whis, then says, "What is it, Goku?" "I want you to train some Saiyans. There are some of those who are left. Because I do feel as if I might need them when the need arises. And there also be need for Beerus's replacement." As Whis, nods understanding. Since Beerus was not doing his job properly, it's just like, he wakes up for a year or so, destroys a few planets, then goes to sleep for 30 years and wakes up a bit later. Wisdom nods. So, Goku then walks to where Beerus is sleeping. As Goku charges up, a key blast and fires it to, Beerus's bed, blowing the bed up. So, with this explosion, Beerus wakes up, as he then says, "Who dares to wake me up?" As he's grumpy as hell. As Goku then says, "I dare." Goku says, in a deep menacing voice, as he starts to release his Omni key. Beerus sensing, this amount of power, immediately, looks to where the power is as he sees, Goku. He immediately, then says, "Who are you, boy?" As Goku then says, "Bow, God, I am above you." As Beerus, eyes then clear up as he notices Goku's clothing. As he immediately bows and asks for forgiveness for his impudence. So Goku then tells Beerus that it's okay for now. He then tells Beerus that he is to head to planet Earth, where he is to go and train the Saiyans, as well as his replacement, since his time is now up of becoming a destroyer. Which Beerus tries to refute and says, if you have an argument, go to the Grand Priest as well as Grand Zeno. Goku says. Seeming that, Goku flashes away as he appears in universe 6. I'm not sure what universe is where, Kaba, Caulifla, and, Champa are from. So I just say, that universe. Goku appears there as he finds, Champa eating, as well as, Fados, telling him, that, he shouldn't eat this much and he should exercise. With, Champa, just shrugging Fados off as, Goku then appears and says, Champa, he says, in a deep voice, as Champa, glances over to where Goku is. He immediately, gets off the table and bows in respect. Goku-sama, what can I do for you? Goku then looks at Champa and says, your time as a destroyer is coming to an end. Find a suitable replacement for yourself before I come and end you myself. So, Champa seeing this, there is no argument. He agrees. So Goku then goes over to Vados as he then says, oh hey Vados. And Vados then says, oh hey Goku. So Vados and Goku, quickly share a passionate kiss. As pretty much Goku has a harem here. It's pretty much the female angels, pretty much. Which Margarita, Vados, and Cuss. Is it Sass or Cuss? I'm not sure. Those three, pretty much. Since it's those three. Since they were attracted to Goku, and they're super strong. Yeah. So after talking with Vados for a bit, he then kisses her goodbye as he heads off back, to Grand Zeno's dimension. As he arrives there, he didn't tell Grand Zeno what he's done, and that he has warned the destroyers, that they should be finding a suitable replacement soon. Which, Grand Zeno then nods. So, I'm going to try and time skip a bit to the point, that the tournament happens, but with Goku not being there, I'm sure it was still escalated since Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz were being trained by Whis as well as Beerus. So Beerus is still in the middle to choose who his successor is gonna be. But seeing that Vegeta is the one with the most potential, he then says, Vegeta, you will be my successor one day, so you must train to the very brink of exhaustion. He says to Vegeta. Vegeta will then nods. So Vegeta begins his training to become a god of destruction. Along with Nappa and Raditz, training to become super strong. They've already achieved Super Saiyan God. They've also achieved Super Saiyan Blue. Raditz has already achieved Super Saiyan Blue 2. Nappa has achieved Super Saiyan Blue 1. Vegeta has already achieved, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. Since, Vegeta also has his tail, he's working, to incorporate Super Saiyan 3 and 4 with, his overwhelming power. So, the battle between them still happens. The Grand Zeno appears along with Goku, as well as, Goku. As the Grand Zen is pretty much disappointed that they did not invite him to such a tournament. So, he then decides to host his own tournament since Goku suggests and says, Zenny, what if, we make a tournament? As Grand Zeno's eyes then glow and says, "Ah, what type of tournament, Goku?" As Goku takes out his stuff and shows Grand Zeno the type of tournament he's thinking of. A tournament of power. A tournament between all the universes to see, who is the strongest. As so if they want to fight, what type of prize should we put up? Goku then says, maybe the Super Dragon Balls. A person may obtain a wish, as long as that wish, is not evil in nature. Goku says, like a wise person. Since I know it's pretty weird for Goku to be acting like this, but just bear with me, guys. I know I suck at creating content, but just bear with me. So the Grand Priest and Goku, after getting Grand Zeno's go ahead, begin to make preparations for this tournament. As Goku helps the Grand Priest in building the tournament's stadium. The Grand Priest still goes around telling all the universes that there's gonna be a fight happening. Goku then asks Grand Zeno if he could participate, since he wants to see the power of all these other universes firsthand. Which the Grand Zeno then thinks for a bit and says, I don't see anything wrong with that. So yes, Goku, you shall participate. Grand Zeno says, I'm sorry for the noise, guys, but I'm living with some people and they're pretty much noisy. But yeah, continuing on with the story. So Grand then allows Goku to participate into the tournament. As Goku is pretty psyched about this, since he's gonna get to show his power. So yeah, we then go to a forgotten place. A place which seemingly not exists anymore. The forgotten realm of gods. This is a place, where evil gods are banished to. You then see, the evil god, Solomon, as he's scheming his plans. As well as, some other evil gods as well, since, they've been banished to that place. He then says, my comrades, the time for us to break out is near. We just have to wait. And after all, we shall then attack and take over the multiverse. Solomon says, as the other gods green. So pretty much, this is like some animal thing, practically. But yeah, let's keep going. So all everyone else around the universe prepares. As there are also rumors that Grand Zeno's personally trained student, or the Grand Priest's brother will be Grand Zeno's brother would be participating. Surprisingly, so everyone is on the rope. They are tight ropes right now, since they're not even like since they're not even sure how this would turn out. We now see Jiren the Grey, as he's training right now. He's been meditating for the few weeks since the tournament is only in a few days. He's wanting to get as strong as he can, since he knows that someone trained by the Grand Priest, as well as Grand Zeno and everyone there at the palace should be pretty strong. But the Grand Priest had also trained Jiren for a bit, as he then handed it over to, is it Cass or Margarita, I'm not sure, and he got some more training. So he thinks that he's gonna be at the same level as Goku, or much more, since Margarita is stronger than most angels. So all the universes then assemble at the place for the tournament of power. The Grand Priest then goes onto his podium, as he then says, fighters, begin. Seemingly all the fights start going. Universe 7's team, consisting of pretty much the same people, except there is no Goku, there is Raditz and Nappa. They did not bring back Frieza. They brought Majin Buu, since Buu did not fall asleep this time. So yeah, they begin fighting. As they are fighting, they split up. All the fights pretty much happen the same for pretty much everyone in Universe 7. Raditz, is the one who eliminates where's this guy? He eliminates Dispo. Since Raditz is pretty strong, he knows what's at stake here. If he loses, his family, his universe will all be erased. And he cannot let that happen. So he's doing this fast and hard in order to prep himself for bigger challenges. With Goku, currently you find Goku meditating in the center of the ring as he's waiting and watching for the perfect opponent. So as such things are going on, we then see one person, an alien, someone who looks like Frieza. But this person, is currently collecting some ki. This ki energy is the one which he's going to use to feed the evil gods, since he's been in communication with them. Him and the evil gods have been planning and scheming on how to take over the universe. Once they take over the universe, they can do as they please. So that's what their plan is. So as this guy is collecting Omni ki from everyone else, people start to feel a bit weaker, but they don't notice it, since they think it's just fatigue of the tide of battle. So Jiren and it's Jiren and what's this guy and Raditz face off. Raditz does the exact same thing Goku did in canon. He fights Jiren and gets beaten back. He charges the spirit bomb, since I'm sure that King Kai would have taught him, since he's like the defender of Earth. So yeah, he then gets exploded into that that spirit bomb and gains Ultra Instinct or Autonomous Ultra Instinct UI. As he then goes and fights with Jiren again, as he gets slapped back again. As he then gets slapped out of commission for a bit, as Jiren then heads over to where Goku is. Goku, seeing Jiren come, he ends his meditation and says, "So you seem strong enough." Jiren says, Goku then says, "As arrogant as ever, Jiren." Goku says. So without even saying any word, Goku and Jiren are locked in intense battle, fist for fist, punch for punch, kick for kick, as they're going at it. Jiren uses his eye glare as Goku does the same, as the eye glares cancel each other out. Jiren cocks his fist back with a high amount of ki in it. As he slams it towards Goku ears, Goku ducks under that punch as he charges his own ki punch. As he hits Jiren under the neck, sending Jiren sky high. Goku appears on top of Jiren, does an ox kick on him, sending him down to the ground. As Jiren hits the stadium, it splits in half. As all the contestants are shocked with the power which is being released. Crimson is like, "Wow! Goku is so powerful!" So yeah, the Goku Black Arc did not happen since Goku is not there. So yeah, it did not happen. So I'm thinking, what's this guy's name? Zamasu. Yeah, pretty much Zamasu, never saw that fight of Goku attaining superpower. So yeah, he didn't have anything against him. So during Goku, Jiren recovers from such a blow from Goku and says, "Seems you're still as strong as ever," Jiren says. "Let's kick it up a notch." So Jiren then Jiren then powers up to his 50%. As he gets what Goku is. Goku then powers up to 5% of his power. Seemingly, as he does not want, to destroy everything which is around him. As he then activates his autonomous ultra instinct. So yeah, he powers up the 5% of that power. So his hair still turns silver. Since Goku is that Omni key, with this other being, is almost at the climax of collecting ki. It's almost enough to free the evil gods out of their seal. But he then decides to take some Omni ki as well. Since Goku is powering up to 5%, he manages to snag some few Omni ki as he keeps it. He then disappears from sight, leaving. But unaware to this person, he was being followed by one of Grand Zeno's gods. Since I'm sure Grand Zeno would have created another pair of gods just in case, and he had them follow this alien. So they then send a telepathic message to Grand Zeno and says, "Yes, my lord, he's been spotted. It seems as if he has been collecting ki." Yes, Grand Zeno then nods and says, "Very well, keep your eyes on him." So with Goku and Jiren are slapping each other pretty much. Jiren, is using his power 50%, as Goku is using 5%. Goku and Jiren are clashing, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Jiren then has enough of this, he doesn't want to be in a stalemate with Goku. He wants to beat him. He says to show him that he's much stronger than him. So Jiren then powers up, to 100%. As he keeps going. As he remembers all the pain, all the memories he's had of the family, which got taken away from him. As he then gets pretty angry, like Jiren angry. As his shirt gets burst off. As I think he's entered his limit breaker, like above limit breaker form. As he and Goku start to clash. Goku then goes into 7%, seeing this Jiren has increased his power. As Goku then says, "To make me 7% of my power, you are amazing, Jiren. But are you strong enough?" Goku says to Jiren. So Jiren charges at Goku as they start exchanging fists. Jiren surprisingly punches Goku in the gut, then kicks him on the chin, sending him sky high. Jiren appears on top of Goku as he does an ox kick, sending him down. But before Goku could crash at the ground, he is met by a fist with Jiren. Jiren then launches, a wave of power, in some key attack. As he then sends it towards where Goku is. Goku ducks it as he slaps the key blast back to where Jiren is. Jiren, seeing this, shoots himself as the key blast explodes in a big explosion. Jiren, seeing as if there's on the way, he charges out, releasing more power. As he charges to where Goku is. Goku, having enough, decides to beat Jiren and show him his place. Goku then powers up to 10%, as he uses eye glare on Jiren, which is much more effective than Jiren's one on him, because it causes a lot of damage to Jiren. With everyone else, pretty much, is getting through their fights. Most of the people have been eliminated from the ring, and only a few are left. One has Android 17. The others, are Raditz. Vegeta has been knocked out. Where's this? Jiren and Goku, they're still clashing. So, Goku, then decides to end this with Jiren as he begins to charge, a very powerful attack, which seemingly looks to the Kamehameha, but it's the Omni Blast or something. As he charges it and says, "This is your end." As he then blasts Jiren with it, sending Jiren pretty much out of the ring. So what I did this time, was not like the erase of the universes. No one got erased. It's just a tournament for fun. So after seeing this all happen, Goku then powers up back to his base form, as he then heads over to where Raditz and Android 17 are. As Android 18 goes into a fighting stance and charges to where Goku is. Goku pretty much slaps him away, as he then gets sent out of the ring. Raditz seeing this and says, young brother, it seems you've gotten strong. As he says it looking towards Goku and says, it seems you've also improved, Raditz. So Raditz, then activates his Ultra Instinct as him and Goku begin to clash. But you all know the victor of this, so Raditz gets his ass beaten by Goku. So Goku, then heads up, to where the as the winner. He then gets declared the winner. He then summons Shinron and makes a wish, which I'm not gonna tell you off right now, as it's gonna be needed later on. So everyone then gets dismissed from the tournament ring, as Grandzilla thanks them all for doing such an event for him. So the Grand Priest and Grandzilla head over back to Grandzilla's palace. At the palace, they find the palace in chaos and destruction. It pretty much looks as if it's been destroyed, which Grandzilla is pretty much pissed about. That is his home. That's the place in where his grandfather lived as well, before he gave him the title of Omni King. So pretty much Grandzilla is pretty much pissed. As he then looks over to to four people, the evil gods. He sees Talama. He sees another god who looks like Majin Buu. And he sees, some other two. One looks like Beerus, and the other one, is strange. I don't know how to name him. So, they begin fight. So, after seeing this, Solomon then says, "It seems we meet again, Zeno. You should have erased me when you had the chance, but you were too lenient. Now, I've come to take your place." So, Grand Zeno then, merges back, with his gods. Is, he doesn't want to waste time on these people, since he knows, they're extremely powerful, so, if he plays around, he might end up dead. But surprisingly, Zalamo had a plan. He pretty much, uses a lot of his power and begins to siphon off, Grandzenor's ki. As him and Grandzenor fighting the other gods, also siphoning off his Grandzenor's ki. The Grandzenor's ki, gets siphoned to the point, where he can't handle this form anymore. As he splits out of that form. He immediately gets grabbed by Salama. Salama cuts him in half. Which, the gods are terrified, fam. They're petrified. Like, someone just split Grandzenor, killed him. With Goku. Goku suddenly felt a pang in his chest. As, he then receives some memories. These memories are of Grandzenor. And, Goku sees Grandzenor dying. Currently, Goku was, with Margarita on a different planet. As, he then tells Margarita, that he has to go. The Omni King is in trouble. Assemble all the angels, it says, as Margarita nods. Then Goku then heads, to Grandzenor's palace, where, he finds the Grand Priest on the ground, twitching. He also finds, Grandzenor in two pieces. As, Goku starts to shed tears. He then looks around and sees, Salama there, Salama then puts on the Patora earrings, as he merges with his other beings permanently. He then says, "Ha ha ha ha. Finally, I've become the ruler of this universe. I am the ruler of the multiverse," he says. "Now ye shall respect me and show you my power," he says in a menacing voice. Goku seeing this, he pretty much cannot stand this. He decides to take action. Goku begins to power up. Goku, has been holding back a lot ever since. He's been trying to keep his power on the down low. But now, there's pretty much just no point to keep such power locked away. So, Goku then decides it's time to show his true power. So, Goku then begins to charge his ki, making it stronger. As Goku is charging his ki, he gets enveloped by white light. This white light, envelops Goku. He's swallowed up by it. Goku then releases a primal scream. As since this primal instinct have been unlocked. It's pretty much he screams. His ki getting denser and denser by the second, becoming stronger, physically fit. After unleashing all that power, Goku then glances over to where this guy is. I'm just gonna name him Archon for now. This Goku then says, "You're going to pay." Goku says in a serious voice. So Goku then activates Ultra Instinct as Archon does the same. As him and Archon disappear as they meet in the center as they start clashing. So Caster and the other angels team arrive as they then help up the Grand Priest. They also take Grand's body as the Grand Priest then tells them that they must stabilize the multiverse or else everything will collapse in on itself. So the angels begin to power up as they start to use their power to hold the orbs of the multiverse together to keep them from going into chaos. So as Goku and Archon are fighting, pretty much it's a stalemate for now. But Goku begins to power up a bit more as he hits Archon straight up, sending him flying. As he sends pretty much Archon out of the atmosphere of that planet. As Goku scans, sees that some planets do not have life on them. He then flicks his wrist, as those planets move into Archon's line of where he's going through. As Archon then slams into all these 5 planets, as there's a sun behind him as he gets tossed in there. Goku seeing this wastes no time, as he rushes over to where that sun is. But he's hit with a ki blast, sending him back a bit. As Archon comes out of the flames. Archon then chuckles and says, "You think this is enough to stop me, boy? Let me show you true power," he says as he powers up to his 100%. He then grabs to Goku and starts pummeling him face into the ground. He grabs Goku by the hair and tosses him aside. He then says, "Now watch as I destroy everything and create it in my own image," he says. Goku, feels a pang. He's like, "No, I will not let you do anything. I'll not let you destroy my world." Goku says as his powers up. His power immediately doubles, going through the fucking roof. If anyone did a scout, the scout would be like, pow, exploding. Because of Goku's unfolding power. Goku then comes out like this. His hair, is pretty much like his in Super Saiyan 4. His clothes have changed as well. All the scratch marks and everything he had in the previous battle are gone. As he then charges to where Archon is and starts fighting. As they're fighting, they're going at it, Goku begins to notice something. Archon is slowing down. He seems that, he's unable to siphon off, Goku's power. Since, it's pure Omni Ki, so he is unable to siphon it. Grandzoner's, Omni Ki was still developing, so, it was easy for him to siphon off. So, Goku grabs Archon by the head, slams him into the ground, punches him for a bit, left, right, left, right, left, right. He then puts his hand over his chest and says, as he blasts a ki wave into him, drilling a hole into Archon's chest as Archon, gasps and says, "Oh!" spitting out a glob of blood. But that's not all. Goku then comes in front of him and grabs him and says, "Now take back all that power you've been absorbing." As Goku starts to absorb, that Omni Ki into himself. As Goku, even gains more monstrous strength. He becomes strong, super strong. As he then says, "This is for Zeno," he says as he punches Archon, seemingly denting that guy, Goku then says, "This is for the Grand Priest," as he punches Archon again, sending him flying. Goku then begins to charge a Kamehameha wave, he then says, Omni Kamehameha wave, he says, as he begins to charge it. Ka me ka me Omni wave, he screams out loud, as the Omni wave, heads for Arjun. Arjun seeing this and says, "No, I'm not dying like this. I must prevail," he says as he screams out loud, He blocks, the Omni wave for a bit, but, he starts to get erased. As, then he just says, "So this is my end. At least I've done things which are worth it," he says. As, he finally gets erased. Goku seeing this, he then falls to the ground, seemingly exhausted. He tries to go back to his base form, but he seems it cannot. Goku then begins to shed tears, for Grand Zeno, since, Grand Zeno just died. With that much, Goku then heads over to Grand Zeno's realm, where he sees, the Grand Beast, holding on, to the multiverse, keeping it from shattering. As Goku walks up to him, as he then channels his Omni Key into the multiverse, stabilizing it, bringing the multiverse out of chaos. Grand Zeno's gods still capture, the one-ones with the evil gods, as Goku then says, "You have caused so much pain and destruction. Hakai," as he erases them out of, the universe. So, Goku, then remembers his other wish. Goku's other wish, was to prevail, to become strong. That was Goku's wish. That no matter what, he would be strong. He would not be powerless to help his friends. So, seemingly after this, the Grand Beast, and the angels start to discuss something among themselves. As they said, since Grand Zeno is pretty much dead, who is to be the next Omni King? As everyone then looks at Goku and says, seemingly he's like the best candidate for that now, since he's been training, under the Grand Beast and Grand Zeno for some time. So they then agree to this. They then tell Goku that he's to be the next grand like Omni King, which Goku agrees to, not wanting to disrespect his lineage, where he's coming from. He agrees to this, as Goku then becomes the Omni King. So continuing on, Goku has children with all three women. Goku still has children with with Kaz, Fadros, and Margarita. These three children, are to be the next, people who are to spear the universe in the right direction. This what if was not an 18 plus, but I'm gonna make one soon, so don't worry. So on Earth, Vegeta has become the god of destruction since Pierce retired. It was surprising that Hit became the god of destruction for his universe as well. The angels only like shifted, since some new angels were introduced, like mirrors and the rest of the new angels which were introduced, which I'm not gonna get into. So that I could not do the moral arc, but yeah, of course it wouldn't just work. So yeah, guys, this is the end of what if Goku became the next Omni King. I hope you like and sub to this channel. I hope you enjoyed the movie. Please tell me in the comments. 50 likes and 200 comments for the next series. What if Naruto's Thoughts with Ski Prince is also coming soon. Stay tuned. Goodbye.